The woman had carefully raised her pet snake for 5 whole years and had formed a deep bond with it. But one night, while she was sound asleep, the snake quietly slithered onto her bed and even stretched itself out completely straight. The woman immediately felt a strong sense of fear because her pet snake had always had a huge appetite. It could easily eat a whole chicken in one meal. But recently, it had suddenly stopped eating entirely, and now it had climbed onto her bed. It was obviously not normal. The woman hurriedly woke up her sleeping husband, but he just told her not to make a big deal out of it. The woman still felt that something was terribly wrong. The next day, a zoology professor told her the truth. The snake's strange behavior was actually a way of measuring her height. In other words, it had started seeing her as prey. But her husband insisted that the pet snake was very gentle and would never hurt anyone. Hearing this, the woman finally relaxed a bit. But that night, she suddenly woke up again and found that her husband had mysteriously disappeared, leaving only her and the pet snake in the house. At this moment, she suddenly remembered that a few days ago, her husband had bought her an accident insurance policy. A terrifying possibility instantly flashed through her mind. Right now, her only priority was survival. She knew that snakes couldn't see still objects clearly, but they are extremely sensitive to movement and body heat. The woman carefully and slowly rose to her feet, trying to move quietly toward the door with the smallest possible movements. Unfortunately, what she feared the most still happened. Even though she was very careful, the sound of the door opening still caught the snake's attention. When she slowly turned around, the snake was already coiled and poised to strike. Her heart pounded, but she didn't scream. She didn't panic. Her calmness was the only thing that saved her from that first strike. Then she rushed downstairs as fast as she could, but when she got to the front door, she found that her husband had already locked it from the outside. No matter what she tried, she couldn't open the door. As the snake kept getting closer, the woman forced herself to stay calm. Just then, the snake lunged at her again, and she drove a hairpin straight into its eye with a steady hand, still holding onto a glimmer of hope. At the crucial moment, she caught sight of a crowbar out of the corner of her eye. She grabbed it quickly and threw all her weight against the locked door. In the end, she got the door open and escaped just before the snake could strike again. Looking at the photos of herself and her husband, her anger exploded. By then, she was convinced that her husband had planned everything from the very beginning. So she went straight to the zoology professor's lab and exposed her husband's entire murderous plot involving the pet snake. So she decided to give him a taste of his own medicine. After a full night of work, they successfully created a special pheromone designed to make the pet snake aggressive whenever it heard the whistle used to control it. As soon as her husband tried to command the snake to attack her with a whistle, his fate would be completely sealed. The woman was convinced that once her husband realized she was alive, he would surely bring the pet snake back to carry out the task. Sure enough, everything went just as she expected. Half an hour later, her husband arrived with the pet snake, and this time he didn't even bother to pretend. He just released the snake and blew the whistle, commanding it to devour the woman. Right at that moment, the woman suddenly pulled out the pheromone she had prepared and shot it straight into the snake's mouth. Now, her husband's nightmare had finally begun.